Readers, welcome back to the show. We've just had a bit of a look at some Div 1, Div 2 footage, a bit of general Div 1, Div 2 discussion. Now it's time to move down to Div 3. Cam Mudge has joined the panel, but more importantly, we've got the captain of the old Ignatians Football Club, Carlo Calabrese. Carlo, welcome to the Roots.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Now, I guess the year, my biggest memory, I guess, of old Iggy's this year is being at that Salisbury West game and Paul Dorian, after the game, saying that basically it's the first time he can remember a old Ignatians side ever finishing off a side. You made Salisbury West look a little bit silly that day, and they went back into, some would argue, some old habits. Now, he said he hadn't seen that before, but what we've probably seen a fair bit before from old Iggy's was just a little bit of inconsistency. And a couple of weeks after that, the ninth place team in CBC went out and knocked you off. You seemingly have rebuilt it now. Is there a bit more, I guess, consistency around the place just a little bit this year?
Well, I don't know. I think time will tell a bit with that there. We had a very good win on the weekend against Athelston, but you know, Walkerville was one of those games. It was a tough game. It was going to be a 50-50 sort of game at their home deck, but CBC was the one we dropped. We weren't switched on, and it was sort of a bit of the Iggy's of old, so that was very disappointing. And by beating Athelston on the weekend, we've given ourselves a chance, you know, to stay in there for the top three fight for later in the season. So,
in terms of player games, I mean, I guess we've identified that you've probably got the recruit of the year in terms of Dane Rolfe coming up forward. When he's switched on, he's pretty much dead set unstoppable. Is that really the only main big player game you picked up, or has your list sort of developed just a little bit more? Well,
yeah, Dane Rolfe's a huge pickup. Probably haven't seen the best of him so far this year. He's been half fit in a couple of games, and he's missed a couple with injury. So I think we'll be better off this second half of the season now that he's fully fit and ready to fire. But I know we've picked up a few young kids that really added to our depth. You know, we've always had that bit of that mid-year slump where you know, struggle a little bit with injuries, and we don't have the top quality players to come in. And I think this year that's a bit of a difference. We you know, our bottom 4 or 5 are a lot stronger than they probably have been in the past. So I think we've got a little bit more depth in our squad anyway.
Now, Carlo, thanks again for coming on the show. It's great to have you here. You touched on Athelston having a great win over them on the weekend. Now, they had a very good year last year. We're probably unlucky not to go all the way in the end. They sort of fell over a bit come finals time. But you kicked 7 goals to 2 in the last quarter on Saturday. Is there something to do with your fitness that you had a big pre-season under the great RoboCop, or what's the secret there?
No, I don't think there's any secret. We just got a real good run on there, and yeah, I think it was a run on. Athelston are a top side, and they're very much the side to beat. They've got talent to burn, but it was good to get up over them, and especially being 6 goal down in the third quarter, it's great to get a comeback like that.
Yeah. Now, you've got the old Railways Oval, or what Mick called it a couple of years ago, which we won't go into, but Pump Park or something like that, opposite the old Heaven, but now HQ. Now, obviously you've been there a couple of years. Have you made it your own home ground, and has it developed into a place where people don't want to come and play?
Yeah, very much so. It is a great spot, and you know, a good place to play footy. And I think we're starting to get a much stronger home record, and don't lose too many at home anyway. And yeah, we're looking for a long-term commitment to that ground. We're looking at putting some lights in. That's a big a big expenditure for our club. So yeah, it's very much at home there now.
And more importantly, does the ice cream van still come through at the end of the day?
Well, not when it's 13 degrees and raining, as it has been the last few weeks anyway.
I guess talking about some other grounds, I think one of the also notable things about Hunter Park this year has been certainly the Athelston game. Some of the crowds there have been absolutely fantastic, and if you could get some lights there, that entire bank there, just on the side of those 60-year-olds playing tennis, just packed, and then the cars going past, it's quite a unique cauldron-style atmosphere. But I guess 2 other grounds that occasionally come into consideration with Old Iggy's are, of course, the school down there. I'm not sure whether you've got factored in any games to be played there this year. And maybe back to one of your old homes, Norwood Oval. Are these 2 grounds that are still sort of in the long-term, I guess, plans of the club?
Yeah, well, we like to go back to the school occasionally once a season. I think we've got a game planned later in the year, but not sure if that is going ahead. But yeah, I mean, the school, we get a lot of our playing group from the school, so it's important to stay involved. And one way to do that is to go up there and play a game every year. But it's always difficult with the first 18 school side playing up there. And Norwood Oval, we've got a little bit of a tradition now that we've had a night game every year playing against another college side, and it's just great to get a really good crowd there, and it's something for the guys to look forward to. So we've got that coming up round 17 against Spock later on in the year, and it's something that everyone wants to be involved with.
Carlo, again, you play with a couple of blokes I actually played a little bit of footy with going back about 8 or 9 years ago, the Alessandrini brothers. Now, both super players. How is it? You were just talking before about how Adam Alessandrini is the mercurial type and he can do it all. Who's the better bloke? And also, could you just give some thoughts on the brothers as footballers?
Oh, well, they're absolutely chalk and cheese. I won't make a commitment to who's a better bloke, but Adam is the mercurial type. He can do anything, and he mightn't get a touch in the first 3 quarters, but he can win a game off his own boot in the last sort of thing. And it's great to have a guy like that in the team, and Mark is just the ultimate team man. He'd throw himself under any pack, and he'd put his body on the line every week, week in, week out for you. So they're both been great contributors to the club over the last 10 years really.
Yeah. They've really held the place together. I think you've probably gone through some tough times in the last few years, and we certainly tried to get both of them to come and play with Adelaide Uni, but they certainly stuck really, I suppose, very loyal blokes, and it's good to see that you're actually going through some good times now with those blokes. Mark, especially, when he played for us in the university games, we tagged Wayne Campbell in a game. Wayne Campbell, the former Richmond captain, and Mark did a job on him and certainly upset him a little bit as well, and actually had a crack at him. So I know Mark can be a very relentless type player, and if you give him a job, he certainly does it. Secondly, following on from this, you might then decide who you like better after this. Is that Mark Alessandrini wanted to know how does it feel to be Kazakhstan's greatest footballing expert? Now, could you just enlighten us on that?
No,
I was going to say an unnamed Iggy source, but I will put Mark in on that because he did email me that this afternoon.
No, well, I think it was one night out of training where I hadn't had a haircut for a while, and my hair doesn't go down, it just goes up into a big afro. And someone was saying if I had a little mo, I'd be a pretty reasonable lookalike for Borat. So I'm trying to live that one down. I can't believe you brought it up here.
have you got the green suit at home, ready for that function one night?
Well, I think I'd look good in it, but no, I haven't got one yet.
Sorry, that is Mark, so you might have to speak to him afterwards.
Yeah, Adam is definitely a better bloke.
Quite a unique club you've got. You've got a fairly unique song too. You've gone apparently 20 years ago from It's a Grand Old Flag to Johnny Comes Marching Home Again, ta-ra, ta-ra, and then there's a bit just before the end where it's just la-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Do you actually know the history of how Old Iggy's came to actually sing When Johnny Comes Marching Home?
I'm sorry, Nick, I have absolutely no idea.
Because there actually is a story. There's an interesting story. The reason I asked this is that the C grade side, the Cubs, actually have their own MySpace page. And we previewed that on the show a couple of weeks ago, and apparently that song, When Johnny Comes Marching Home, was an old Band-Aid ad from like the early 80s. This is a true story. And they claim on myspace.com/Old Ignatians FC that the kid in that ad who was coming home to mum was actually wearing a St. Ignatius tie. And that's the reason that they actually adopted it. Now, do you feel disappointed now that you've failed the theory exam before you've been elected captain?
Oh, that's a likely story. One thing I would say with that C grade site is that it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It gets a run on there, so a lot of fictitious information on there, I think. Speaking,
I guess, of being the captain, I mean, you played a fair bit at Nord. You were the league ruckman there for a while. Probably, people will have their debates about whether you could have kept going, or maybe you moved into amateur league football before you maybe made a massive impact at SANFL. Has the leadership thing come naturally to you? Is it something you sought, and is it something that you've enjoyed over the last couple of years?
I don't think it's something that you seek out. It's just I just like to make my contribution, and I think I've always been involved in those sort of roles in teams that I've been involved with, and Yeah, I think it's just come naturally. So, and I really enjoyed it.
You could have walked into Paul Dorian's office wearing the Borat mankini and said, yes, I'm up front. I want to lead.
Nothing's changed.
No.
Yeah, I could have said that. I don't know how far I would have got with it.
But on a different note, Carlo, obviously you took it to Athelston on the weekend, who are one of the pace setters in Div 3. Now you're sitting fourth at the moment, I believe.
Yep.
Sitting fourth on the ladder. If you do happen to go all the way, do you think you can believe that you'll be a strong Div 2 club? I see it with Pembroke coming up and Payneham Norwood Union at the moment. How do you believe you can take that next step if you were to happen to make the grand final?
Yeah, well, I haven't really thought about it. So I'd just like to play in the grand final. I've never done that before. But
played for Norwood, that's understand.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. I guess we've seen when Modbury went up a couple of years ago, and Pembroke and Payneham. It sort of takes them a couple of years to settle in, and maybe you need one or two extra blokes to come in. But I like to think we've got a very competitive bunch, and guys who don't, who'll put in a big effort every week, and I don't think it'll be the sort of side to bounce around, up and down divisions anyway.
I think the scariest part is that a side like Div 3 could come to Div 2 and you could be playing a red-hot Adelaide University within 9 weeks' time. So that's the scary part of a Div 3 side coming up.
He's going off at the end of this segment.
Over to you, Cam.
Yeah, Carlo, another question. You touched again on RoboCop, who's your coach, the famous and infamous Paul Dorian. Played a little bit of football against him when he played for Kilburn. He is a very intimidating character. How have you found him as a coach? He's a pretty quiet bloke on the field, but very big size of a lad, and always interested when he went out to a club like Iggy's to coach. How have you guys found him as a coach, and is there anything that stands out that you've really got a lot of time for with Robo?
Yeah, look, Robo's a very passionate guy and very passionate about his footy, and I'm sure there's a few people, he's rubbed a few blokes the wrong way, but generally he's been very well accepted and well liked. You bring a lot of passion to the footy club, and I think our results over the last couple of years have shown that he's doing well with our group.
Is he noticed, particularly over the last month, it might have changed on the weekend, that he was playing a lot of B grade? Was that a deliberate plan for him? Was it a numbers issue? Were there a couple of players maybe in the back lines that he wanted to work with? And I guess the second part of the question is, does he see himself Daniel Walsh style, but obviously with a better groin, maybe playing significant A grade games before the year's out?
I'm not sure if he's got any intention of playing A's, but I think he just loves footy, and he just loves having a kick. And because of that, he pulls the Guernsey on the Saturday in the B grade. So I think that's why he's out there.
And that's actually a fair asset to have, a coach who's actually willing to do that, to actually go out and actually offer a bit of leadership to the Bees, and that should certainly be commended. Well, Carlo, you've taught us a couple of things. You've given us a magnificent image of a man leading the ruck for Old Iggy's wearing a green bathing suit. So that's something that we look forward to in getting on the MySpace page. And we also learnt that you don't know jack about your club's history in regards to the club. So but we've appreciated having you on, and we wish you all the best for the rest of the year, and we want to get some consistency into the Old Iggs.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Carlo Calabrese, more grassroots after this.